My name is Clara Starkwell, and I love to create different forms of art inspired by nature and light and just create story and narrative within my pieces. I really love vulnerability and texture and just creating something that's raw and with emotion. So this is my piece. It is titled Thinking of You, and within it I used a bunch of different texture mark making, so like pens, I think maybe a little bit of graphite is in there, and I just really started just kind of with the raw materials, and then I layered on top of that with acrylic and just got more of the form in there. And I love ending my pieces with oil paints. I just think that it makes it a lot more vibrant and brings the color out and creates more contrast and more fluidity within the piece, and gives it that like juicy color, which I really love. The inspiration for this, I honestly created it. There was, a lot of news happening that was rather upsetting, and I didn't know how to process that except through art, and I just knew that I needed to get that on a canvas. I think it definitely carries the emotions of how I was just feeling at the time, but I still wanted there to be a hint of hope and lightness within the piece, and so that's why I ended it with shining the light on her, and I feel like it really emulates how a stained glass is and just the beauty and vibrancy within that. And I just hope that there's that, I guess, balance and contrast of, the world essentially feeling like it can be falling apart, but still having that hope and that beauty and the light that's shining within or around. And, sometimes we don't even recognize it, but it's still there. And I hope that translates, and, that's what it means to me, but I feel like art is super fluid, and so I love that, other people can find different meaning within pieces. I just feel super excited by art. It gives me so much energy. I just love that we get to live in a world with so much color and beauty and texture and variety. It helps us connect not only with ourselves, but also with each other. I also just love, when it's living in this space, how it can just liven up the room and just be a constant reminder of, hope, joy, beauty, whatever it is that you need at that time. I think art is able to create that. I think that Momentum is so incredible. The fact that they are creating a space and opportunity for younger artists to show their work, many, for the first time, is just so exciting to see that. And I'm just so grateful to OVAC and the team for, creating the space that artists can meet, with each other, and then also with collectors and other people, that we can continue to support this local art scene, which is so, so important to just connect the community and bring so much encouragement to this next generation. Right now, Instagram is the best place to see my work. You can follow me, clarastarkwell.art, I believe. And that's where I post most of, the newest work and what I'm working on and kind of what's going on in my life. Because what's next after Momentum is I'm actually going to be planning for a through hike. I am doing the Pacific Crest Trail with my husband. If you don't know what that is, it's a backpacking trip that starts in Mexico and it goes to Canada. And I did half of it last summer, and I'm going to finish the other half this summer. So I'm really excited. It genuinely is where I find so much inspiration, just being out in nature. And I'm excited to see just all of the work that flows out of me after it. Already doing this first half, I just have so many sources, and just all the wildflowers are absolutely breathtaking. The wildlife is so incredible, and I'm really excited that I get to go out there and spend so much immersive time within nature. So yes, in addition to being an artist, I'm also a lighting designer. And for those of you who don't know what a lighting designer is, because most people don't even know it's a real job, basically, if you've ever seen a concert, a musical, a play, opera, ballet, corporate event, something where, it was nighttime or dark in a building and you need to see them, the person who turns on that and makes sure they are seen and it tells a story, those are lighting designers. And I love that I get to do this in addition to being an artist, because I feel like there genuinely is so much crossover. You have to think about the story and what you're trying to evoke, and within that you think about, what colors do I need, the composition, the values, the movements, intensities, what exactly am I contributing to the story to bring the character to life, to bring the set to life, the story. And I just feel like there really is a lot of crossover in regards to how I think about sculpting my pieces and what I'm bringing forward. And just, I feel as though my lighting design style is very artistically driven, and I really do just love the fact that, lighting essentially is an immersive art, and in the painting it just can completely take over a space and add so much emotion and depth. And I think it would be fun someday to, combine the two in a full experience kind of way, just because I think that they really do complement each other so well. So who knows, maybe in the future that will be a project I can work on with OBAC. We'll see. And yes, so how does lighting impact your art, and how is your art impacted doing lighting? I feel like I kind of just explained that. I mean, I think there's a lot that I could go into it, but truly, I think the different color schemes and just the composition entirely and all the narrative as well play a huge part in that. And the connection and just getting to play with color and see how it looks on a face, and just understanding what parts of light need to come forward too. I do really love painting light, and I think that it is just such a beautiful thing that we get to live with in this world. Good lighting design most people don't notice because it's doing the job of creating that environment and space for people. And I think that that's kind of cool, that even though people can't necessarily understand with their conscious mind what they're seeing and the subtle shifts that are happening, there's so much that happens in the subconscious that contributes to the narrative and the story, and what we take away from the play or the dance, and just tying in all of those elements to really create the fullness impact. And I don't know, I like that people don't necessarily know it's happening, but at the same time, without it just doesn't have that same impact. I feel like art too sometimes can have those subconscious impacts in our hearts. A lot of times we fall in love with something and we don't even necessarily know why or how to put words to it until later kind of it unfolds. And I feel like art's that way also, in that the meaning is always ever growing, as we grow as people. Something that we loved maybe when we were younger, as we get older, it could have potential for having a different meaning. And I think that this piece definitely has been that in my life. When I created it, I think about a year ago, it meant something different to me than it does now. And I just think that that's really powerful, that art does have that capability to, in a way, grow with us.